Hey, what's up? It's Mike Gobby with Mike Gobby's Headbangers, and it's been a while since I have talked to my Banff bro guitar picker, Jeff Duncan. He's on the line right now. What's up, man?
Oh, just hanging out at home, you know?
Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
How crazy is it for the Strip to be just totally shut down?
You know, it's a sight to behold, I gotta say. It's pretty unusual.
It's like something out of a movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like Resident Evil or something.
It reminds me of one of those Twilight Zones, you know?
Yeah.
Where's all the people?
Right. Well, we're doing our part to keep the social distancing right now. You're in Vegas, I'm in Tucson, and it's been a while since we last had an interview, and you've had some cool stuff happen. In the last interview, we talked about you having a solo record, and now that is finally out.
Yeah, my solo album, Wanderlust, did that, oh gosh, I don't know, it's been over a year for sure, but yeah, we got it out back in October, and digitally through Down Boys Music. My buddies Jerry Dixon and Eric Turner, their company, put it out digitally for me.
Oh, okay.
And I have a deal with EMP, Dave Ellison's label, of course.
Right.
Tom Hazard there. Really dug the record, and that's going to come out in physical form. It was supposed to come out actually this month, but due to everything, we pushed it back. So, but that will be coming out on CD and I believe vinyl in due time. You know, we got to get through all this stuff right now, but it's all we can. But whoever's interested in it can still get it digitally. It's on all the digital platforms and available on that format.
Yeah, like including Amazon. I found it on there.
Yeah, Amazon, Apple Music, etc. It's all over the place.
And then I'll definitely be looking for a physical copy. I was just talking to earlier today another interview with bass player Martin Anderson, and he and I are both on the same page when it comes to having that tangible CD in front of you that you can open up the booklet and look at it and stuff. You know, we're still old school that way, I guess. That's what I like anyway.
Yeah, there's that, and plus, you know, people and, well, at least in my demographic, you know, they like to get stuff signed and that personal touch and all that.
Exactly.
You can't really sign a download, you know. So.
Well, Jeff, next time I see you, I'll just have you sign the other ass cheek.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, may as well get it over with.
And then, of course, get the tattoo while I'm there. So we'll be good to go. So where'd you come up across, or where did you come up with this title, Wanderlust? I kind of honestly had to look it up. I know the word, but I didn't really know what it meant.
Well, I was wondering what I was going to call it. You know, I was just going to, you know, name it after me, just have it say Jeff Duncan, but that seemed a little boring. And actually what happened is my girlfriend had a postcard on the coffee table, and she has a bunch of postcards. She had this postcard, and it had like a van on it driving, and on the top of the postcard it said Wanderlust, and I said, I like the sound of that. And so I looked it up, and you know, it really just means a desire to travel, a desire to explore. That pretty much describes what I set out to do with my guitar record. Was I wanted to, you know, stretch out, and I wanted to do one for years, you know, but I was apprehensive because, you know, it's like when I'm ready to do that, I'll do that. But it was something that I always wanted to do, being a fan, you know, of guitar instrumental records, you know, with Vai and Satriani and McAlpine, all these great guys who just make these guitar records. And I'm a real, you know, guitar freak, of course. But, you know, it was one of those things I was like, when I'm ready, I'll do it. And one day I sat down and wrote the first song and said, okay, well, I guess now I'm ready to do it, you know?
Yeah, so Wanderlust literally means lust to wander, the strong desire. I love the word, by the way, though. I like it. And I like how you likened it to your exploring, your desire to explore the different parameters of your guitar playing, which you definitely have done. I got to go back and listen to it more thoroughly. But after I listened to it, there's a couple tracks that I really dug. In particular, I really liked what you did with the solo in The Body Electric.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It has a lot of key changes going on.
Yeah, but I like where you went with it when it came time for the solo, so it's not all the same stuff, you know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of the fun thing about writing music like that is it's totally different from writing regular, rock and roll, with vocals. That there's a certain formula to that, and writing instrumental music it's just a totally different thing because the guitar is the voice, is essentially the lead singer, but it's not a singer. So what you're expressing and how you say it it takes a different road. And, it's more composition than it is, writing rock. So, yeah. So for example, on a song like that on Body Electric, when it came to, okay, what am I going to do for the solo? Well, the song has to totally change. It has to, the feel's got to change. It's got to go somewhere and then, circle around back to, the foundation of the song. So yeah, it's definitely a different way of writing music that I'm really happy I did it. Now I have some semblance of knowledge how to do it. And, I look forward to following it up. I mean, I hope I do guitar records for, years to come.
Yeah, that'd be great. So you found it kind of challenging, and has this improved you as a songwriter that could translate into what you do with Armored Saint, do you think?
Well, I think it's, I think it had a lot of benefits in a lot of ways. I mean, I learned a lot about guitar tones. I learned a lot about, pushing myself as a player. I learned a lot about composition and focus and trying to be as musical as possible because, again, you don't have a vocalist to rely on. It's all the guitar. So as an all-around, not just a guitar player, but as an all-around musician, it definitely challenged me. But nothing about it was arduous. It was all very. It was a pleasure to do it, and fortunately, I had a real good partner to work with. My buddy Jason Constantine, who recorded the record and engineered it, and me and him produced it. Who was really on the same page with me as far as he got it. When I played him the demos, he really got it. And he's a guitar player. And he's like, let's make this record. Let's do it. So I was real fortunate that I had somebody, I had a partner to do it with. I don't think I would have been able to. I would have written the demos. I don't know if the record would be here if it weren't for him. So kudos to Jason Constantine for sure.
Well, it's always cool if you find somebody that works with you, you can collaborate with, and kind of pushes you and helps you along the way.
But yeah, and he believes in it as much as I did. Sometimes more so. I was real fortunate. And again, we recorded it over at his place, and I enlisted a really good drummer, Alex Papa, to do the drum tracks, and he just killed it. And then I played bass on a lot of stuff, and then had a few guys come in. My old buddy Joey Vera played on a track, and then some guys here in Vegas, musicians who I really played sonnet, and have a different drummer on one track, but yeah, fortunately, the main thing was I wanted to, with the exception of Joey, because the song Joey played on is a real funky track, Mr. Allen, and he's just so great, and I know that his roots are in that sort of funk, sort of Motown style of playing bass. It's got an amazing feel. So he was the right guy for that song. But really, using a different drummer and different guys, it was really just about stepping away from everything I'm familiar with. That way, I could do something that was, completely mine. I could be my own Svengali or something. I really wanted to paint my own picture and not really depend on anything that I've done in the past. And I wanted to branch out. I wanted to just do something completely different. I think I did. I think we pulled it off.
Well, I really enjoy it. And like I said, I got to definitely go back and give it a couple more listens to really digest it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah. It's a big meal.
Well, it's definitely not a throwaway disc. You know, it's not like, okay, that was cool, but I'm done.
Yeah, well, it was real important when I was creating the music to write songs. You know, it wasn't about creating backing tracks for me to just guitar solo all over the top of it. It was really about, you know, songs. Right. And again, that was another really exciting avenue to explore because, you know, when you want to translate something as a song, you don't have lyrics or a singer singing. That's a whole different thing. So the guitar has to really be emotive. It really has to express what's going on. And then when the solo happens, the solo has to be extra special. So, that's why it was so exciting to do because I really got to, again, push myself, and take things, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, I can't do that, you know, and then somehow you just do it because of, again, I think a big part of that was because it was so exciting and it was so fun and it was such a pleasure and it was such a musical experience, that there was nothing about it that wasn't satisfying. You know, but I did want to make sure that they were songs, that they were, you know, had a beginning, a middle, and an end that made sense.
Now, what would you consider your favorite track if you had to pick?
Well, that's a tough one, you know. Which kid is your favorite? Which kid is your favorite? Yeah. But I really like, you know, By Electric, which opens the album, is pretty cool. I think that has a lot of style. Second track, Simply 2, I really like because it's very melodic. But like all of them, you know, a song on there, Yeehaw, which is it's just the guitar and I'm tapping. It's a tapping thing. That was a really, you know, song I wrote for my girlfriend, Nicole. That one was pretty special because it just really took a lot. It was, again, that was one of those things I was like, can I do this? I'm not going to be able to pull this off. You know, it was, you know, kind of Satriani influenced, I guess, something like that. But you know, I really love all of them. You know, cover a Sleepwalk I did on there. I really love that. That's a song I've been playing for quite some time out here in Vegas with my power trio I have, Electric Dynamite. We've been doing that song for a long time, and I always love that song since I was a kid. So it's really cool.
Dude, that is such a good song.
Yeah, you know, and it was really cool to record my own version of it. You know?
Right. I got a buddy up in Phoenix that plays with Brett Kaiser from Madam X back in the day, which Madam X still around, but Brett has this band called 56, Brett Kaiser's 56, and it's exactly what it sounds like. 50s music. The bass player plays an upright bass, got a killer drummer, and then this guy named Tom Main, I think I'm saying his last name. I've known him forever, but I don't even know how to say his last name, but he does a killer version of Sleepwalk. And of course, like, you know, Brian Setzer's done it. I mean, a billion people have probably done it, but I don't think it ever gets old. You know, it's just such a killer song, and when you put your own stamp on it, that's pretty special.
Well, it's just such a beautiful song. You know, yeah, Eric Johnson's done it. Satriani did it. You know, so many people have done it. But yeah, it's one of those songs that you could, you know, a guitar player has many different ways they can translate what that song is. And, you know, I think that every version I've heard of it is just cool because it's such a great tune. You can't lose, you know?
Yeah, pretty much, right? Maybe I'll try to pull it off one day.
I should go for it.
So, Duncanstein, or is it Duncanstein, like Frankenstein? Anyway, tell us about that guitar.
Duncanstein, my trusty black Strat. That was originally an ESP ST203FR, and it's just gone through so many transformations. Really, when I first saw that they had that available, because I've been with ESP for 20 years now, it had the black relic body, and I saw it, and I'm like, I know exactly what I want to do to that guitar. And I got really lucky in that the body, the piece of alder that it is, happens to be a really great sounding piece of wood. I just got lucky. And it's been upgraded and upgraded, and it's gone through all of these transformations because I just had I just wanted it to be a certain thing. I mean, there's no questioning that it's, designed around, Eddie's guitar, that idea, because, well, Eddie's the guy, but there was still something I was looking for. And, it's got a lot of brass in it. It's got, the neck was changed. I have a really cool neck on that I gun stock oiled myself, and it's just changed out. I tried a bunch of different pickups in it and settled on what I like. And it's just a real special sounding guitar. It's just got the magic. It's one of those things that happens. I can't explain it. And, I've done hundreds of shows with it, and it's been around the world with me. And it's my baby, and that's my creation.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, and I totally know what you mean. I mean, you can literally pull two guitars off the wall, and they're the exact same make and model, and one's going to play or sound better than the other.
That's true, and the real crazy thing about that guitar, and that the body being such a good piece of wood, is that, ESP I said, I want this guitar, and they sent it to me. I didn't try out a bunch. They just sent me one. And I happened to get one that was really great.
What kind of pickups do you have in it?
The pickup that's in there right now is an EVH Frankenstein replica pickup, which I really like. That may get changed because I'm actually working on a signature pickup right now with a company called Jalen.
Oh, cool.
So that might get changed, but yeah, we're in we're kind of in the tail end of the design, and that'll probably be available in the next couple months.
And what gauge strings? Do you do something funky, or you just go like with straight 9s, straight 10s? What you got, or 9.5s even?
No, I've been 10 to 46 for years. Same gauge. And funny story about that is I was rehearsing, it was a long time ago when I was in Odin, and we were rehearsing at this rehearsal place, and I used 9s back then. And Rat was rehearsing there, and I kind of know Warren DeMartini, and I knew him then from the club days, and he came walking by the room, and we were on a break, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And he said, "Oh, is that your guitar?" And he picked it up and played it a little bit and gave it back to me. He said, "You got 9s on there?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, you should use 10s." So I switched to 10s because Warren DeMartini said so. That was really the only reason, because, I used to go watch Rat in the clubs, and Warren, 19 years old at the time, just great, and I really learned a lot watching him. And, it's one of my earlier heroes, especially since I could go to the Whiskey and see him play, it was like pretty awesome. So he was a real hero of mine. I just respected him, it's fucking great. So because he said so, I said, okay, and I switched to 10s and never looked back. So it's all Warren's fault.
Well, so you mentioned Warren as a hero of yours. Obviously, Eddie is one. If you had to say your absolute favorite, would you pick Eddie? Because I've seen you do, you've got some like Van Halen lessons on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of heroes I've learned from, like definitely Schenker's a big one, and Tony Iommi's a big one, and, Neil Sean, J.T. Lee. I mean, there's all these guys I've picked up things from, who are just awesome players I love. Eddie Van Halen is, to me, kind of the King Edward, because it's not just the playing with him, it was everything. It's the gear, it's the tone, it's the DIY things he introduced to guitar players. Make the guitar how you want it. It's everything layers to Eddie that make him, I think, the guy, because the use of effects, the creativity, and utilizing the tools you have at your disposal and making them sound how you want them to sound. And nobody really did that before. Everybody just got stuff off the rack and plugged in and played. Eddie introduced a whole new way of doing things, which is, hey, take a chisel to it. Put that extra screw in if you have to. Wire your stuff this way. Use a variac on your amps. It'll be, he brought us the high gain amp. I mean, he's like a, just like this doctor of guitar and amps. It's just really a genius, in my opinion. And, of course, all those great Van Halen songs, he wrote all those killer riffs, like killer stuff. So it's, everything across the board with him is a 10 as far as the world of guitar. So that's why he's my number one guy. But there's a lot of, a lot of other influences that I have, of course. But yeah, he's number one for all those reasons, just a game changer.
Definitely an innovator, definitely one of a kind. I mean, you talk about his tone, the brown sound, as it's called. Did you ever try to emulate that a little bit by not changing your strings?
Well, again, I mean, of course I love that sound, but I didn't never really set out to like be Eddie or something.
Right.
But what I did was I tried to incorporate the same mindset, which was make your guitar and your amp and your whole setup be yours. So don't be afraid to do that. Make it so it's yours, do what you like and whatever that takes. So I kind of took that approach rather than just, taking what I got and playing through it. Well, what if I want it more beefy? What if I want the guitar to have more high end? What if, all these things involved in that. But so yeah, I definitely took that approach. I got that approach from Eddie. Don't be afraid to take your guitar apart so you can make it how you want it to be.
Yeah, there are no rules really,
Yeah, but I did, of course, I know tons of Van Halen songs, of course, learn the tricks and the just the style. But Eddie's it's blues on steroids. It's his feel, it's his thing. So I never really wanted to be someone else's thing. I wanted to be my own thing. But someone like Eddie Van Halen really kind of brought that to the table and enforced that attitude. Be you.
Well, it was an absolute.
I remember hearing this interview with him, and they were talking about the Frankenstein guitar. And the guy asked him, when you made that guitar, did you think you were onto something? And Eddie said, yeah, for me. Yeah, right. For me.
Well, right? He was an absolute game changer. The cool thing about him, though, is, and I think a lot of people that just kind of listen to him for his solos and stuff, is what an amazing rhythm guitar player he is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you start picking apart the songs and really paying attention. He's doing some really cool stuff underneath those solos and the meat of the song.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very, very good. It's percussive and great, which is so important. Being a good rhythm player is so important. That's 98% of the song, usually,
yeah.
is playing rhythm guitar. So it's good to be, that is playing guitar, really, is rhythm guitar. Lead guitar is too, but most of the time you're playing rhythm, learning, getting a good solid rhythm hands and knowing, different voicings and chords and all that. That's what guitar playing is all about. Soloing is relatively easy compared to, getting a strong vocabulary as far as chords and that sort of stuff. What you spend most of your time doing playing guitar. Soloing is great, and it is what it is, and it's nothing like a killer lead. We all know this. But it's so important to have a good sense of rhythm guitar and chords and all that stuff. Plus, it helps with writing. Can't be not going to write too many very interesting songs if you just know, very few bands have done that. AC/DC has, did that with a few chords, but that's a whole nother brilliance in and of itself.
Well, I'll tell you, way back in the day, I never saw Van Halen with David Lee Roth. I didn't see him until, like 2009. The first time I saw Van Halen was Van Hagar, the 5150 tour. And thank God for the internet and YouTube these days, because you can dig up all these killer shows from back in the day. And I just sit there in amazement, thinking back then, if I were to see Van Halen for the first time, I would just be in awe. I mean, I still am, you know what I mean? But to see such groundbreaking guitar work, and plus the entire band, when they were firing on all cylinders, dude, they were just freaking unstoppable.
Oh yeah, one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, and I think the enormity of, you know, how big they were speaks to that. You know, I mean, especially in their heyday. I mean, nobody can touch that.
Right,
you know?
exactly, and that's, you know, I'm coming across a lot of these cool clips or shows, partial shows, whatever, from 78, 79, you know, through the early 80s, and it's just, God, they were a powerhouse.
Yeah, so
and I wish I could have witnessed that personally, but and nothing bad to say about Van Hagar. I like both eras, you know, I really do. If I had to pick, I'd probably go with David Lee Roth, but that 5150 tour was pretty badass, man. For having seen them for the very first time, you know, that was pretty cool. That was exciting.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, you change an ingredient in the band, and the band is going to change for the better or the worse. You know, as far as the Van Hagar versus Roth era. You know, that's up to opinion. You know, I know that Eddie kept branching out on guitar and Van Hagar, and there's a lot of really awesome stuff. You know, I do like the gritty, dirty rock and roll attitude of the original band.
Yeah.
But that was a time and a place. I mean, even when rock came back, they didn't have that anymore, in my opinion. It was just more retro. Oh, there's Dave, but it wasn't the same as back then. It just wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wish I could have witnessed it as it happened, because it would just been that much more incredible.
Yeah. I saw them in 1983 and 1984. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay, so that was the first time?
Yeah, 1983. I was too young before then to go to concerts, but yeah, I did manage to see them at that period a couple times.
Now let's talk about Armored Saint. You guys got a new record coming out I'm really excited about, because I love Armored Saint. You know this.
Yes. You haven't let me know that. The new album is, it's in the can. It's mixed. It's all done being mixed. It's just going into mastering now. And we're talking about what artwork we want to use. It's kind of where we're at. And, it's a really great album. I'm really stoked. Really, really dig it.
When can we expect that?
Well, you know, it was slated for release probably late August, early September.
That's too far away.
Yeah, so...
Let's speed that up, Jeff. Let's speed that up. Let's expedite this thing.
Yeah. Sooner the better for everything right now, you know. But, that's kind of what we were looking at. You know, we'll see what's up at that point. But I think, you know, hopefully it'll go on schedule. And again, you know, we're real excited about it, and it just came out really good. You know, I'm not going to say, you know, a lot of bands, you know, they put out a new record. It's the best record we've ever done. Hey, you know, I think Armored Saint's done a lot of really good records, and I'll say this is another good Armored Saint record. I mean, it's got some great tunes and some great playing, and you know, John Bush is just sounding better than ever, and you know, everybody is. It's just a really, really cool record. You know, I was just listening to. I sat down on my patio last night. I got all the mixes into my iPod, and I sat down in my patio with a cup of coffee and said, "All right, now it's time to get into this." And listen to the whole thing front to back, and you know, I was like, "Yeah, great, cool."
Well, let me tell you about John. You just said he's sounding better than ever. I'm amazed at how great he does sound. I just saw him last year with Metal Allegiance up in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just me saying it. Me and my friends were like, good God, man, he just sounded amazing. I only talked to him briefly backstage, which, by the way, I still want you to help me facilitate an interview with him. I got to get him. But, yeah, dude, he just sounded amazing. And he's one of those guys that has probably, we could say, gotten better with age, right?
Yeah, he's just, you know, he's just, you know, really something else. You know, really, you know, I mean, of course, John's been a personal friend of mine since before I was in Armored Saint, and you know, to see him become such a, you know, to me, one of the best out there. This makes me proud of him. You know, he's just great. You know, he just continues to get better. Yeah, everybody in the band, you know, everybody in the band is on top of their game, and you know, the band as a unit has gotten stronger, you know, as an entity, and you know, we're definitely not. You know, we've taken a little less space between records now, which is nice. Used to be like 10 years between records. You know, now
yeah, there was that period where, good Lord, took forever.
Yeah, well, you know, we're lucky in that, you know, Armored Saint is a very loyal fan base, and despite us, you know, definitely having a lot of space between records, you know, when we go out, you know, the people show up, and it's really, we got the best fans in the world. We really do.
Yeah, I was telling a coworker about that today because I'd mentioned I was going to be interviewing you, and he asked for which band. I'm like, well, I'm not sure if you know him or not, but anyway. So I mentioned him. Of course, he didn't know because he's really not into this type of music anyway. But I just talked about how loyal your fan base has been, which is, you know, always a good thing. But how do you gauge? How do you guys figure out? Well, I guess when you play live, you can look out in the crowd and kind of figure it out. But how much of a younger audience have you been drawing throughout the years? Has it been pretty steady, or?
Yeah, yeah, they're out there. You know, of course, there's, you know, the old, you know, loyal members or fans that have been there since the beginning, you know, of the band. But yeah, we've seen quite a bit of that. Definitely quite a bit of that overseas, no doubt. And U.S. too, but it's just, you know, we're always happy about that. You know, some kid come up who's wearing an Armored Saint shirt and he's, you know, 15 years old. It's always really cool. You know, it says, you know, good, this band is appealing to, you know, not just, you know, old rockers, but to, you know, kind of generational. And, you know, I think that comes from, again, I think that just comes from producing the best music you can. You know, it's good music. It's good music. And people, I think, from all walks of life are gonna like it. You know, if they're into heavy rock, no matter what age they are.
Do you find a lot of parents bringing their kids, like, say, somebody you met throughout the years and years ago, throughout the years, they come up, say hi to you, and then all of a sudden, hey, I want to introduce you to my son or my daughter. They're a huge fan.
Oh yeah, we've encountered that several times. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Now, one thing that always sticks out in my mind, we talked about this before, but when I think of Jeff Duncan and Armored Saint from back in the day, I always think about the story you told about Dave Pritchard in the Trip Through Red Times video. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the fuzzy technical story.
You got it.
Yeah.
I just thought that was the funniest, man. That was a great story.
Yeah, that was Dave. Yeah, he was witty like that.
So what's another really good Dave story you could tell that hasn't really been told?
Well, I think, you know, for me, my experience with Dave, again, you know, me and Dave used to hang out, you know, back when I was in Odin and you know, I was Saint the Club days, you know, we would hang out. We were buddies, you know, we were friends. And, you know, he was very, Dave was a very intelligent guy, you know, I mean, and such a great writer and guitar player, and he was a unique individual, you know. It's such a shame that someone like that had to go so soon. I mean, really.
Right.
Not just because he was my friend and that hurt, but because I think he had so much to offer, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And it got cut way too short. I mean, just criminally short. But I did play in the band with him for a period, and in that time, I learned a lot from Dave. I learned a lot about home recording. I learned a lot about just a lot of things. You know, he was really very just creative guy, and I have a lot of stories to Dave, but it all kind of boils down to, wow, what a cool person that I got to know. What a cool guy to know. And, I wish we could still hang out. I wish it was still, he was still around. That's for sure. A lot of people did.
Well, yeah, because I don't think he had even reached his full potential. Really, there was no way. He was such a, when we talked before, if you remember this, he just had his style and his fingers or whatever, where when that went away, a certain aspect of Armored Saint went away. And I'm so glad you guys carried on, that they carried on and continued without him. But there's definitely a difference. And he was just one of those special guys. And it really was sad to see him go so soon. I remember reading the news about that, and I was just really bummed out because I did get the chance. The one time I saw him play was when they were out with the Macaulay Schenker group in 1988, I believe it was, and they opened up, and man, I'll tell you, what a killer show that was. I mean, freaking Armored Saint and Michael Schenker. That's heaven.
Yeah, well, Symbol of Salvation is one of the most critically acclaimed on the Saint records, and that record that's Dave's legacy, that album, because those songs are written, or a lot of them were, in the demo stage. I mean, the demos are out, that existed where it's me and Dave on guitar, the demos for that record. And, I mean, so much of that material was Dave, I mean, really, Rain of Fire, Tribal Dance, Another Day, Burning Question, like those are songs those are Dave's songs, and so that album is really Dave's legacy, and he's very responsible, for why that album's so great, because he wrote a lot, most of the material on there. I mean, the other guys wrote stuff, but primarily it was Dave's stuff.
Well, again, thank God for the internet and YouTube. I've come across some really cool Armored Saint clips, and there's one where before Symbol of Salvation came out, you guys did one of the new songs. In fact, I think it was just the only one, Rain of Fire, at that show, and you're playing with him.
Right.
Was it the Dynamo? Was that it, or?
Yeah, that was the Dynamo in 1989. Yeah.
Cool clip.
Yeah, it's a cool clip, and it's crazy. It's like not long after that show, he was gone.
Yeah,
I mean, it was months. Which is pretty crazy.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot again. If you had to pick your favorite Dave Pritchard Armored Saint song, which would it be?
Probably Rain of Fire.
I mean, there's so many to pick from. It makes it tough. I personally, there's something about Chemical Euphoria that I just love.
Oh, yeah, I think all of them.
I mean, that riff is so freaking cool.
Oh, yeah, great. But I think that's a Joey thing. And that song's the Joey thing. But as far as songs being wrote, I would say, Rain of Fire, that's just like such a powerhouse riff.
And then let me ask you this: post Dave Pritchard, what's your favorite Armored Saint song?
Oh, you mean the stuff that I've done with the band, with me and Phil? I would say I really have to think about that one. But albums are for me. As far as my favorite, probably I'm going to say Win Hands Down.
Which one?
It's one of my favorites. Win Hands Down and Pay Dirt. Those are two of my favorites.
So what's the latest with DC4? What's going on with you and your bros, and of course Rowan Robertson?
Well, we've been on hiatus for a while. I was real busy with Armored Saint, but we did put out a record. Oh, I don't know, what's that? A year and a half ago or something, called Atomic Highway. But I've been toying with some ideas and talking to the guys about doing another record. So I'm sure I'll have another one coming up. But we haven't played live for quite some time now. But plan on changing that. So everybody got busy doing other things, you know. But we'll reconvene. That the band is definitely not broken up or anything like that. We'll probably always do records and that sort of thing. But right now, just kind of looking at you know, doing the next album.
Well, I'll definitely be looking forward to that. I've always been a fan. The couple times we've had you out in Arizona, always a great performance.
Yeah, we've always been real supportive of that band. We definitely appreciate that. But you know, I'd like to get it out more and play more live shows and do that. You know, and work that out schedule-wise in the future, which I think we'll be able to do. But want to do another record first.
What about DC4 and Armored Saint together? Have you guys ever done that? Have you ever played even a one-off?
No, man, I'm too old to pull that off.
It's a lot of playing, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be a bit much.
Well, yeah, especially with you singing. That's got to take out a lot of energy, not just playing guitar, but singing as well.
Oh, yeah, and I do a lot of singing and on the Saint, too. I'm on the mic all the time. So I think it would probably, I'd take a little too much out of me to do that.
That'd wipe you out.
Yeah, maybe if I was 25, which I'm not. I'd pull it off.
What else did Jeff Duncan want to talk about?
Well, that's kind of it. That's kind of everything that's up, you know. I'm just pursuing this. I want to promote Wanderlust some more, and got the new Saint coming out, which is exciting. And then, you know, this signature pickup I told you about. Real thrilled about that. Getting that rolling, and you know, keeping me busy for now. I think I'm gonna shoot a video for Wanderlust pretty soon.
Oh, you are? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then it's kind of what's up, man. It's, you know, just looking for all this, you know, the COVID-19 era to pass us by, so we can all get on with things. But you know, everybody feels that way.
Oh my God, dude! I'm trying not to go crazy, especially no live music. You know, so. Do you think you guys might do something over the internet, like a lot of these bands have been doing with Armored Saint? Maybe do something like that?
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll have something coming out sooner than later.
Well, and then you also mentioned you had been doing a video. What was that all about again?
It's an acoustic thing that we're going to release. Probably, like I said, sooner than later. Just a little something special for everybody, you know. Hopefully they like it.
Well, that's cool. We'll be looking forward to that. So to kind of recap everything, you got Wanderlust out now, available digitally. We'll be looking forward to the physical copies and perhaps vinyl you mentioned, of course, on David Ellefson's EMP label. Good friend of ours.
Yeah,
you got the new Armored Saint coming out, and hopefully, again, sooner than later.
Yeah. I think it'll go on schedule. I'm thinking so.
And you got that signature pickup.
Yeah. That's what my world looks like right now.
Well, that's some pretty good stuff, dude.
Yeah, you know, the hell else am I going to do?
Well, cool. Jeff Duncan, Armored Saint, DC4, and of course for the old school people out there, Odin, which we didn't really talk about, but hey, just go look them up. You'll see what we're talking about. Thanks so much for taking the time to gab incessantly with me.
Oh, absolutely. It's always great talking to you, Mike. Absolutely. Thanks for all your support, man. You're definitely one of the good guys.
Aw, you flatter me. Oh, you know what? I do have two other questions for you. One, I don't think I ever asked this before. What was your first concert ever?
Kiss at Magic Mountain when they filmed that movie.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That movie is so cheesy, but it's great, you know? I remember watching that on TV.
Oh, yeah, it's deliciously horrible.
Yeah, Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park.
Yeah, pretty bad. But yeah, that was my first concert.
Oh, there is one other thing I want to know. After having filled in with Lies, Deceit, and Treachery, what'd you think about the whole Bullet Boys reunion?
You know, I think it's great. I mean, you know, I've known those guys for a long, long time, and, you know, to see them, you know, hash it out, and you know, hopefully it stays that way. And, you know, I know, you know, Mark had his own version going on, and Mick and Lonnie and Jimmy, you know, the Lies, Treachery, you know, they're doing that. That's all cool, I guess, but, you know, those four guys got something together. They got something special. They always do. And I'm glad that they're doing it. You know, I was looking forward to seeing it, but then, you know, things changed. But, you know, with concerts and everything right now. But I think it's just awesome. I'm glad to see that they were able to make that happen. I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's like one of those never say never things, or a never say never scenario, you know, where you think, oh, that's never going to happen again, and then boom, it happens.
Yeah, it's just some of the parts, you know. Both voices, those four guys, you know, and that's kind of the bottom line. And when they play together, that definitely sells. So, to me, you know.
Well, I did get the opportunity. So I saw you play with them, of course, up in Scottsdale when you filled in on bass. So Lies, Deceit, and Treachery. And then on the Monsters of Rock cruise, they kicked off the cruise. So I was able to check them out.
Oh, cool.
And that was cool, you know, because I've kind of gotten to know Mick a little bit, but I've been pretty tight with Jimmy DeAnda, you know, for years now, since, meeting him way back when he played in Lynch Mob back in like 2001 for the first time. And Jimmy's such a cool guy. I know you're pretty tight with him, too.
Yeah, again, I've known Jimmy and his brother Joey since I was probably 14 years old.
All right, once again, Banff Guitar Picker. You know what Banff stands for, right?
No.
Badass motherfucker.
Ah, heck.
BAMF. That's you, my friend. So, Banff Guitar Picker, Jeff Duncan. Again, thank you so much for checking in with me, and looking forward to, number one, I'll be listening to Wanderlust again, over and over, I'm sure, and really kind of digest that thing. Looking forward to the new Armored Saint, and then, of course, you got that pickup coming out as well. That's really cool, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, yeah. And, you know, I was going to talk to you, Mike, anytime.